Hello, my name is Frank, and I would like to recommend you this book, or not recommend you this book. This book is The Buried Giant by Kazuo Ishiguro, and it's a fantasy book, or it is labeled as a fantasy book. And if you're a fantasy enjoyer, I wouldn't recommend you this book. And if you are a Kazuo Ishiguro enjoyer, then it's as in he's definitely has a better writing or better novels throughout his collection, and this is just something he was kind of experimenting at this time, or this is his first, because this book came out in 2015, and this is his kind of one of his first quote-unquote transition into more non-realism or more of a fantasy-esque writing. This book is for the readers who enjoy the themes and the world building being the center and being the forefront of the novel over the plot. So the plot of this book is our main characters, Axel and Beatrice, wanting to go see their son whom they haven't seen in a very long time. And quite weirdly, they don't know where he's at exactly. They don't know what he looks like because they haven't seen him in a very long time. Matter of fact, they don't even remember his name, but they just know that they just have this hunch that their son is not that far away from them. So that is essentially the plot of the book. Basically, mom and dad going back to their son. But then the plot just kind of jumps all over the place. That's one thing not that I didn't enjoy reading the plot, but it would have been better if the plot was more linear, or a lot of things could have been removed from the novel altogether. Like, you have the plot goes from a kid being kidnapped, monk self-torturing, a knight trying to kill the dragon. It just kind of jumps all over the place. That's my little note. My handwriting is decent, but yeah. And my favorite thing about this book was the themes just kind of being forefront of the novel. It's right there on your face the whole time. My favorite theme or favorite aspect of the book was the relationship between our main characters, Axel and Beatrice. These are two very elderly couple. One thing is very prominent is the love they have between themselves. The relationship felt very real. You'd see Axel, who's the husband of Beatrice, always, never denying her request and always making sure that she's okay, and would always kind of refer her as princess. The dialogue between them throughout the novel, it was very persistent that their love was real, and you could almost kind of imagine, or you can almost kind of sense these two characters or these elderly couple at a park somewhere. It's the wife that's more extroverted, and then the husband a little bit introverted, and yeah, the husband just kind of follows the wife around, and yeah, that it felt very real to me, and that is one of my favorite part of the novel. And then the second thing is Kazuo dealing with collective memory. So a lot of his novels has to do more with an individual memory, or just kind of an individual retrospect where he's kind of, or individual introspect where he's kind of looking at an individual's life, or the individual's looking at their own life and kind of reflecting back. But in this novel, well, basically everybody within the land is under social amnesia, and they forget everything, or they have hard time remembering stuff. Before the memory loss, there was wars and violence kind of ravaging the land. There was a huge war between the Saxons and the Britons at that time. After the amnesia takes place, we get to the point within our story where everybody kind of has forgotten the violence and the revenge and the war, and they kind of live among each other peacefully. But then within the plot, our characters make decision that kind of hinders this stage of peacefulness. The one hand, we have characters trying to end this social amnesia, so real memories and real experience can come back. But then that would also mean hatred and violence and past action between the Saxons and the Britons coming back also. But then on the other hand, we had other characters wanting to kind of be okay with the social amnesia as long as there was peace in between the land. I really enjoyed the relationship between our characters, especially the main characters. There's a few gripes that I had with the tone of the book, as in a lot of the times we had a lot of different special or side characters, and I had very hard time differentiating who was talking exactly or whose dialogue it was, and it was very confusing because you would have a boy and then a seasoned warrior, and it was really hard distinction between who's talking exactly and what is happening. That's one thing. That's a very small gripe that I had with this novel. I do have a video on YouTube that goes over the plot in more detailed and just more detailed thoughts. So other than that, that is my initial thought. So if you like fantasy books, might not be the best fantasy book. This is just one standalone book. A lot of fantasy book that I kind of have read, like you don't really get to the good part until you're like two books in. You know, the first book and the second book is basically story building or the story setting or environment building. But yeah, fantasy book, fantasy lover. No, not really. Kazuo Ishiguro. Yeah. That. Thanks for tagging along with me. I hope you have a good day. Bye.